Welcome to the Talkin Vols Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about recruiting, and not just recruiting, but the momentum that this football program has, the names that are in and around campus, and obviously it starts with Nico. Once he was in the boat, once Nico made it official that he was coming to Rocky Top, there has been a momentum. The guys like Carnell Tate, the rumors out there that Francis Mauigoa, a five-star offensive tackle, has some heavy interest in Tennessee. All this momentum is because of NIL. It's because of Spire Sports Group, and guys like Lane Kiffin, guys like Nick Saban hate NIL. They've made it very clear they don't like it. They say it's going to ruin college football, but you can either approach it, you can attack it, and grow and adapt and utilize NIL, or you can complain and hate on it and not adapt and get left in the dust. It's up to you. But a recent article over at on3.com named the top 5 most ambitious NIL collectives, and the Volunteers right at the top of the list. So why wouldn't Nick Saban hate it? Why wouldn't Lane Kiffin hate it? Because it is what Spire Sports Group is doing for Tennessee. It is cutting the time of this Josh Heupel rebuild in half. Go back to last year. Right after Cornbread got fired. We're on this channel, doom and gloom, saying it's absolute rock bottom. It's going to take 6 to 7 years. We're going to have to be patient. But the NIL, the way it has changed college football, Spire Sports Group, they've cut that time frame in half. We're going to get into it, talk about it. As always, do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like button just below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy. It helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin Vols Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We are fans just like you. So if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Now, let's go ahead and jump into it. Again, article over at on3.com, the top 5 most ambitious NIL collectives. The article says now that the donor-driven NIL collectives have become the norm in college athletics, it's not enough for your school merely to be affiliated with one. It says here, a collective's ambition measured in its vision, scale, and financial resources will determine how impactful it is, how well and efficiently student athletes are compensated through NIL activities, and how much of a recruiting advantage it creates. And again, it is a huge advantage, and we are seeing that in the current class of 23 for Tennessee. We're seeing that it's a huge advantage, and that's why guys like Lane Kiffin, that's why guys like Nick Saban hate it, because they no longer have the advantage. They no longer have that advantage over Tennessee. It goes on to say here, collectives which typically pull funds from a wide swath of donors vary considerably. As one prominent NIL source told On3, there's enough of a variety of collectives in the marketplace now, several dozen are publicly known, that no one needs to recreate the wheel. You just have to figure out what size of a wheel you want. And look, we gotta give credit where credit is due. This administration was ready. They were prepared. The second NIL becomes official, Spire Sports Group goes to work, and Tennessee is off and running. And, we talked about it Sunday on the Fan Call-In show. Tim Bradley, longtime listener of the channel, talked about how it's nice to finally be ahead of the curve. It's nice to be out front when it comes to something around college football. And that's where Tennessee is at. And you've got to praise Danny White and this administration for being ready to go. I know a lot of us questioned it. Going back to the transfer portal, saying, why is nobody coming to Tennessee? We can't get them here. It's NIL. Our NIL collective was not ready. They're not prepared. Well, wrong. They are very prepared, and we are seeing that again in the class of 23. Goes on to say some school-specific collectives focus on a small subset of athletes at a particular school, helping to connect them with donors and businesses for a variety of NIL activities. Others harbor far grander aspirations. 10 months into the ever-evolving NIL era, here are On3's rankings of the most ambitious donor-led collectives. And you can see there right at the top, Spire Sports Group, Tennessee. Says here, no collective to date has pushed the envelope more or been bolder or more ambitious than this Tennessee-centric collective. These rankings could change as the collective's arms race ramps up over the next year. But right now, Spire is the clear number one. As one industry source said, Spire's not messing around. They are big spenders, and they are smart about it. And that's it, guys. Big spenders. You can go to their website. You can go to the Spire Sports website, make a donation. You don't just give the money. You get perks back. There's different benefits and tiers and levels. I think they've set it up very well over on their website. So go check that out. Give them some money, and let's build this recruiting class, not just for 23, but moving ahead to 24 and 25. And, you know, I always think it's comical when other fans come in here from other teams and they try to mock us or make fun of us for buying players. Well, guess what? It's legal. Perfectly legal. And we've got the money. We're big spenders, and we're going to do it, and we're going to spend that money. And if you think it's funny, great. I'll buy another one. Give me another one. Send me another Nico. Send me another Carnell Tate. Make fun of me for landing 5-star talent. I'm perfectly fine with it. Goes on to say here, Spire is also not shy about publicizing its grand vision, putting figures behind their ambition. In February, a story in The Athletic that piqued the interest of all industry stakeholders. Spire president said the collective is aiming to generate at least $25 million annually to put in the pockets of student athletes or recruits. In an ultra-competitive landscape in the SEC, this could help lure an increasing number of 5-star prospects to Knoxville. We're already seeing it happen. Here's another quote from the president. We realized being involved in recruiting was going to be a priority. Then we realized how much money we were going to need to be elite, and we're shooting to be number one. So that's the article from On3. Again, we are seeing this play out right before our eyes. So let's be unbiased. Let's sit back, not as a Tennessee fan, just as a college football fan in general. It's the Wild West out there. We're seeing it in the transfer portal. We're seeing it with NIL, $8 million contracts allegedly. Do they need some type of legislation? Do they need some type of rule set? Do they need to dial this thing in? Well, that leads me to the next article over at on3.com, and that is this. Pac-12 SEC commissioners to pitch Senate on creation of federal NIL legislation. Says here, NIL approaching its 1-year anniversary. 2 Power 5 commissioners are heading to Capitol Hill to get lawmakers involved. You can see there the Pac-12 commissioner and also SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey heading to Washington, D.C. to meet with U.S. senators about NIL legislation. And again, when you look at it, and it is the Wild West, and I think they do need some type of legislation, some type of control. And look, I get it. As a Tennessee fan, let's spend the money and let's go win championships. But to me, they should have never rolled this thing out to begin with. It's the second it becomes legal, it's insanity. And the article goes on here to talk about it. It's not just in the world of recruiting, it's also in the transfer portal. It says here, NIL has been at the forefront of discussion across college sports all year, but that conversation roared its ugly head in the last week or so. Pitt star wide receiver Jordan Addison put his name in the portal, and rumors swirled of an NIL deal waiting for him if he heads to USC. Says those rumors started before Addison entered the portal, which is why Pitt coach Pat Narduzzi accused USC and coach Lincoln Riley of tampering. Look, if you don't think tampering is taking place all across the country, you're insane. You are crazy. It's happening. It's not just USC. It's all across the country. It's every program. It's just like the recent, deal with passing the law in Tennessee where now Spire Sports Group can talk to the coaches. You don't think that these NIL collectives all across the country are talking to coaching staffs? You're crazy. Tampering is happening. It's happening all across the country. So what happens if they go past legislation? What happens if they go past rules? Look, we're going to find a way. We're going to find a way, just like players were getting paid before NIL ever became legal. It is what it is. You put rules in place, somebody's going to break them. That's the way it goes. The article goes on to say conversations are ongoing about potential rule changes from the NCAA. Earlier this week, Dillinger reported things could get interesting regarding booster roles in recruiting. Says college leaders are gearing up to issue a warning to hundreds of wealthy boosters who are using name, image, and likeness ventures to involve themselves in recruiting. Goes on to say university administrators, part of a task force to review NIL, are finalizing additional guidelines that are expected to clarify that boosters and booster-led collectives are prohibited from involvement in recruiting. Again, you pass a rule, you make a rule, somebody's just going to break it. That's the way it is. But you guys know what to do. Hit that comment section, just kind of giving you a grand overview of that. Tennessee comes in number one when it comes to NIL collectives, but then now we see Greg Sankey on his way to the Capitol to try to get some legislation put in place. Look, man, they rolled it out too fast. They weren't prepared. They weren't ready. Now here we are a year later. But hit that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. That's going to do it for this one. Go check out the merch, bonfire.com/store/talkinvols. Links are all down below. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on the way out there. Hope you guys have a great Thursday. This It's the Talkin Vols Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.